Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Tori, and today I am super excited because it is time to do the 2023 Book Awards. Now, you'll probably have noticed that I posted my top 10 books of 2023 yesterday, so please go watch that for my best reads of the year, and a lot of those books are going to come back on this list today, but I am just so excited to talk about them. I was having a hard time coming up with categories for this, so I reached out to my incredible, wonderful Patreon community and said, all right guys, let me have the categories that you want me to include in a book awards video, and they delivered. They gave me so many categories that I had to pick and choose which ones I was going to include in the video because I would have been here for an hour, and that's amazing. So thank you so much to my patrons for once again showing up like the champions you are and giving me a ton of awesome categories to pick from. So we're going to get a huge category out of the way first, and this is going to be a tough one because this category is Best Series of the Year, and I read some banger series this year, you guys. Now I'm going to limit this to series that I finished here in 2023. So the Riverfall Chronicles, which 100% would be in the running for this, is not going to be included because it is not yet finished. And the one that is going to have to come to the top of the list is The Long Price Quartet by Daniel Abraham. This quartet is so incredibly underrated in the fantasy community. It's crazy. It is definitely something that I think needs a little bit of experience in the genre, perhaps, but at the same time, it is just an absolute masterpiece of a series, and the books are short enough that if you're ready to try a super rich, deep character study, slow burn fantasy series, you need to have this on your TBR because Daniel Abraham produces in spades everything I didn't know I wanted in a slow burn fantasy, and it's incredible. The next one, and I really loved that this one came up as a category because I think it is also one that needs more love and attention here in our community, and that is the best short fiction that I read this year, and that prize goes without hesitation to The Jade Setter of Jan Loon, a novella by Fonda Lee that takes place in her Greenbone Saga universe. I read it the day after I finished Jade Legacy because I needed more of that series. I would definitely recommend waiting to read The Jade Setter of Jan Loon until after you have read the Greenbone Saga because I think it's going to hit harder and mean more if you do. The next category is the oldest book that I read in 2023. Now, I actually do read quite a few books that have been written in the 1900s and even the 1800s. I think I had 4 books this year, 3 or 4 books that I read that were written and published in the 1800s, which was super cool, and I hope to continue that going forward because I think it's always fun to get a kind of wider breadth of literature in from different eras and see what the differences and similarities are, and I always find that really fascinating. But this year, the oldest book that I read in 2023 was The Recollections of Benjamin Harris, which is a memoir of a rifleman who was part of the Napoleonic Wars, and it was published in the year 1848. I believe the next closest one on my list was published in 1871. So for the next category, as you know, I am a huge fan and am also a writer of indie fantasy, and so this is the award for the indie fantasy read of the year. Now, I read some phenomenal indie fantasy this year, so it was really difficult to choose exactly which one was going to take the cake, but it had to be one of the indies that ended up in my top 10 list, and that's going to be Spirits of Vengeance by Rob J. Hayes. The payoff in this third book of his series after reading the first 2 was just like coming home and seeing the little nods that he left in there to the previous 2 books and characters that I really loved from those books was just so wonderful and emotional and beautiful, and I love this world, I love the characters, I love the magic, and I loved everything about it. The 2023 release of the year. Now, I actually spent a lot of time this year playing catch up, so I read a lot of books that were published prior to 2023, but I did get in quite a few 2023 releases as well, and the one that takes the cake for me that I have to mention here is The Blue Flames by Jacqueline Hagan. This is book 3 in the Riverfall Chronicles, and Man, you guys, I love this series and these characters so much. It is a stellar indie fantasy debut, and more people should have this on their TBR and be reading this series because it's just fresh and fun, and the characters are so awesome, and I love it so much. So Blue Flames is definitely going to be my 2023 release of the year. Next up is going to be my best graphic novel or manga of the year, and this one is a book that I read very recently in the last actually like week and a half, and I'm already so completely hooked that I am planning right after this video to head back to my library and pick up the rest of the series so I can finish reading it. And that is Spy Family by Tatsuya Endo. It is a light-hearted thriller that basically the plot is a very lethal spy and a assassin find themselves in a marriage of convenience raising a telepath. The spy's mission is to infiltrate a school where he has to have been married and have a child to put in that school. And you guys, this is just the cutest dysfunctional family I think I've read in a long time. I absolutely love the characters. They're amazing. And I've read 2 volumes and I honestly cannot wait to go to the library today and get the rest. Next prize is the best sequel that I read here in 2023, and this is another one that was really, really tough because the series that I have read this year, man, there's been some amazing books this year, you guys, so it was really hard to pick, but I think I am going to give it to A Betrayal in Winter by Daniel Abraham, book 2 of the Long Price Quartet. This was the book where I knew in the first book that I was going to love this series and that it was an amazing thing. But when I got to book 2, I think that's when it hit me how big of an impact this series was truly going to have on me, not just as a reader, but also as a writer, and I wasn't wrong, and it just continued to go up from there. Next up is going to be the award for the most uplifting book that I read here in 2023. Now, you guys know that I do love me some dark fantasy and some books that are just, you know, a bit heavier in nature, and so it was actually a little tricky. But I think the book that walks away with this category is Down Below Beyond by T.A. Bruno. This book is so brilliantly written. It is a sci-fantasy standalone, and the characters are just incredible. I loved them so much. And while T.A. Bruno does deal with some deeper themes in this story, it's not all lighthearted by any means. There was just so much uplifting friendship in this book that I definitely had to put it in this category as the winner. The final category in my overall books and series awards is going to be my most read author. Now, this is the author that I read the most total books from this year, and that goes to the one and only Fonda Lee. I read all 3 of the Greenbone Saga books this year, and also her 2 extra books in that world, the novella and the book of short stories called Jade Shards. So with 5 books from a single author, Fonda Lee is the author that I read the most of this year, and I'm not mad about it at all. Next up is the book that had a twist I didn't see coming, and that, without even a blink of hesitation, goes to Jade City by Fonda Lee. I really loved this first book in the Greenbone Saga. It was so good, but there is a twist in this book, if you know, you know, that just kind of laid me out, to be honest. I was so shocked by it, and it just set up so many things for the rest of the trilogy, and just cemented a certain character for me that I'm still kind of flabbergasted about it. It was a bold author move, and you know what, Fonda Lee, my hat is off to you for that one. Now, these awards are always my favorite because I do love me some characters. I'm a very character-driven reader and writer, and I love my characters. So, going into characters, there were just hundreds of characters that I could have given category awards for this year, but I'm going to try to be good and keep it to a few of my favorites. The first award that I am going to give out is my favorite character or character of the year, and this was so tough, you guys. There was so many options that I am still thinking about, that I'm still wanting to go back and read again, but I narrowed it down, I think, to 3 characters. And I know that sounds like more than one because it is, but I really think that all three of these characters deserve to be here in this category. The first one is Mariko from Shogun. Mariko is the Japanese translator who basically is tasked with keeping our main character, Blackthorn, the English ship captain who's been shipwrecked in feudal Japan, from getting into trouble, and just translating between him and the authorities of the land. And she is a brilliantly written female character. She has so much just incredible perseverance and intelligence and just wit. She's an incredible character, you guys. And I got to the end of Shogun and I just realized how powerful of a character she truly was, especially if you look at her through the entire book. She's just such a pillar of that story, and I loved her immensely. The next character on this list is going to be Kal Lan from the Greenbone Saga. I love this character with my whole heart. I loved him almost from the first page he shows up, and I just... there's so many feels. There's so many feels with this character, and I can't say any of them because of the spoilers, but if you know, you know. And I'm still over here in Team Lan all day, every day. I loved his character, and I thought he was brilliantly written. And that's all I'm going to say about that. The third character that I'm going to mention on this list is the character that by far has left the greatest impact on me in terms of the space she inhabited in the story that was told around her. And that is the nanny from Augustus. Now, this character literally appears in a single chapter, a single letter, if you will, during the span of Augustus by John Williams. And she talks about her experience raising Caesar Augustus. And let me tell you, the impact that that single chapter had on me. I related so much to so many of the themes that she conjured up in this letter, and I'm still kind of in catharsis mode, and it's been months. So she definitely has to take a spot on this list. Next up, we're gonna give out our Cinnamon Roll Award. This is for a character that we must protect at all costs. And I love these characters so much. I love them so much. And I love whenever I stumble across one in the stories that I read. And I'm trying to decide if I'm just gonna give it to both of them. So why not? The first one, having read Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone for the first time this year, I gotta give it to Neville Longbottom, you guys. Like, Neville, I love Neville. I love Neville so much. He's so precious, you guys, especially in this first book. I just loved him so much. The second character I'm gonna give the Cinnamon Roll Award to is Anya from Spy X Family by Tatsuya Endo. This little character is just incredibly precious. She is a telepath, and she knows the dark and dangerous secrets about both of her adopted parents. And she's just precious, you guys. I can't recommend this manga highly enough if you want something lighthearted and funny and cute and fun and has deep themes anyways. Next up, I'm going to give an award for the best antagonist that I read this year. Now, I'm not about to give this award to anybody who's just evil for the sake of being evil. I want some morally gray. I want some characters that are interesting, have depth, have nuance, and really draw me in and are compelling. Interesting to read, even though I may be hating their guts the entire time. And there was nobody I read this year who better fits the top of this category than Ait Madashi from the Greenbone Saga. So many things I could say about this woman. She is brilliantly written. You understand her motives, despite the fact that she's just infuriating all of the time and just, I'm fine. Next up, I'm gonna give a Slytherin award, and I love that this category was suggested because it makes my, Slytherin heart very happy, and I had to really do some thinking about what that meant to me and how I would categorize the characters that I read, and it involved me sorting quite a few characters into different Harry Potter houses. Don't ask, I went above and beyond. The character that I'm gonna give the Slytherin Award for this year is Dren from the Last War trilogy by Mike Shackle. Dren was a character that I can't say a lot about for spoilery reasons, but I really, really enjoyed reading this character, and I just think that he has so many incredible Slytherin traits that he is very deserving of this award, and for anybody that has read the series, I'm pretty sure you'll know why I put him here. I really enjoyed his character. I think he was well written, and I got all of the Slytherin vibes from him, and I loved it so much. Let's talk about the best friendship I read this year. Now, on the opposite side of romance, friendship is such an easy sell for me. If you write a good friendship in your books, I'm probably gonna love it. I love a good friendship so freaking much, especially if it has some maturity behind it. It has some time behind it. These are people that have known each other for so long that they're like an old married couple, and I love reading that so much. And there were two friendship pairings this year that definitely are going to be at the top of my list. The first one is Floam and Vobsy from Down Below Beyond by T.A. Bruno, both of which are different alien species characters who are both written very interestingly. They both have their own little quirks, and again, this goes back to T.A. Bruno being a brilliant alien writer. And I just love them. They're adorable, and I love how just uplifting their friendship was. The second friendship that I want to mention here is Haruto and Guang from Spirits of Vengeance by Rob J. Hayes. These two are a pair of old and battered warrior friends, and I just love them. I just love them so much. There's such a tired vibe to their friendship, but it's so deep and so strong that you know they'd do anything for each other, but there's also this kind of just weariness to this friendship, which is fair considering that one of them is immortal. So there's that. But anyways, they also had a fantastic friendship that I really, really loved reading this year. Next up is the final character category that I'm going to give an award for this year, and this is my own invention, and I'm going to call it the Throw the Book Award. This is a character that made me so angry that I wanted to throw the book across the room. And this is a character that a lot of people enjoy. And this is probably not a character that's going to surprise a lot of people if you've been keeping up with my channel this year. I'm gonna give that to Baez from the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. You guys, Baez had me in such a state. Like, I was so angry. I was so angry. And I had a couple books this year that made me want to throw them across the room, but man, when I tell you, Baez had me seeing red so many times in this series. I gotta give it to him. I gotta give him an award for it, because that's where we're at. I would love to hear down in the comments what your answers to these book awards would be for the year of 2023. Let me know your cinnamon roll character, your Throw the Book Award, your favorite series of the year. Pick a category and a category, or all of them, and let me know down in the comments what awards you would give to your reads from last year. I hope you guys are reading 5-star reads here in the beginning of 2024. I hope you're having an awesome week, and I will see you in the next video.